welcome Darren to the floor, who's going to talk about why did the Tawny Frogmouth cross the road. And yeah, Tawny Frogmouth, as many of you probably well aware, is one of Darren's probably favourite birds, I'm guessing. Yeah, he talks about them. Yeah, so thank you so much, Darren. And I'll do your presentation on.
You're right, thank you. Thanks everyone. You may know me from other bird talks about Tawny Frogmouth. I do know other birds. Sorry.
Do you just click that to the right, see if it works? Because it will going on. Yeah.
Why did the Tawny cross the road? Why indeed? Now, before I get too much into it, where I start, a lot of what tonight's about is what I talked about in my 5-minute talk a couple of nights ago, whenever it was, around the birds coming into car headlights, supposedly chasing moths, that the birds' headlights have spotlighted, the car's headlights have spotlighted for the bird very conveniently, and subsequently the bird flies down and hits the moth and gets hit by the car. That may be true, I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence to back it up. There's lots of evidence around that birds do get hit by cars. That's undisputable. When I've looked into Hansard a little bit around roadkills, some of the references that you can actually, the ones that I've managed to get a little bit of information on, are mainly, well, one actually talked about roadkills of different species, including birds, but never included Tawny Frogmouth. So I'm not really sure why that's actually in Hansard to start with. It may have other good information about roadkills and whatnot with bird life. Others, they're a little bit tricky to try and track down and get a hold of. So what I've been doing, and all the information here tonight is from Montfort Common, where I go a fair bit. And when I've been out there either at night or early in the morning. And it revolves around timing the bird from a known point to another known point and working out those heights and that trajectory, and then calculating the bird's speed. And then comparing that with the speeds from a car travelling at certain kilometres an hour. So I've focused on 50 and 60 kilometres an hour because they're around suburban areas, and 80 and 100 kilometres an hour. And from what I can gather, there's no way in the world a bird sitting in a tree and cars coming along the road, zooming along, and supposedly a moth gets spotlighted in the headlights, and the Tawny flies down to catch it and gets hit by the car. Well, I don't think that's true. And hopefully some of what I've got here will show that. So, we'll get a little bit more to the way the Tawny crossed the road. With no intentions of getting hit by a car, that's for sure. But that bird there must have seen something happening. Wasn't very happy. And some of why I'm thinking like this is because some of the birds that I watch over there are right beside the main road. And at night time, it's a very busy road. I've been over there at 4:30 in the morning, and it's equally as busy at that time of the morning, while it's still dark. And I haven't seen those behaviours. Maybe I'm just not there at the right time. And there's certainly insects flying around, and there's microbats over there as well. But anyway, so what I've been doing is, as I said, I'll watch the birds, and I've got my little stopwatch on my phone. I miss a lot of other things, and sometimes I miss a lot of these too because I'll just look away and the bird's already flying. But it'll be basically the bird sitting over there, I'll be watching it, and I'll start, and it'll fly down to say on the ground there, and I'll stop, and and then that's my time. Then I'll measure that distance out. I'll use an angle gauge to work out the bird's height from there, and from there, with a bit of mathematics, I can calculate the actual flight path, the flight length, and then work out the bird's speed, and then compare that with a car speed over the same distance at various kilometres an hour. So, here's an example. So we've got in the park a pole on the street with a light on it, and the birds sit quite frequently on top of that pole. Now, another thing too, it does say that they will swoop down around on insects around lights, and they use lights for that purpose. I haven't seen that either, but that's just my observations. I've seen the birds sitting up on the pole there and insects flying all around here, and they certainly are interested in that, or they're spotting them, they're tracking the insects, but every time they've caught something, has always been down on the ground. So whether it's over 20 metres, sometimes they drop straight down nearly at the base of the pole, sometimes out a little bit further. I've actually been standing out in the field watching, and they've flown straight past me, within 5 metres or so, landing within 5 metres to catch something. So I'll stand back here somewhere and get my angle of the height down, and I can work out that height there. If I know that distance, I quickly mark the spot where the bird landed, and I can measure that distance out. And then, so that was 20.5 metres measured along the ground. Now we're 10 metres there and 9 metres there. I've got that wrong way there, but you work out like the triangles, and I can get the length of the flight path, which is 21.772 metres. It took the bird 2.53 seconds to fly from that point to there. The angle is just, the direction is just more for my interest. And from there, I can calculate the bird's speed. So green there is the seconds, so 2.53 seconds flight time. Metres per second works out at 8.6 metres a second. That's the speed of the bird flying from that point down to there, over that distance. And when you compare that same distance with cars, so a car travelling at 50 kilometres an hour is travelling at 13.89 metres a second. And that gets higher and higher, so at 100 kilometres an hour, the car's doing 27.78 metres a second. But even at the 50 kilometre mark, or the 60 kilometre mark, at 16.67 metres a second, that's twice as fast as what the bird's going. So if the car's going that fast, how can a bird sit here and have time to fly down and catch that insect? So I think in another diagram there, there's a few different ones. So I've got sitting on top of a there's a picnic table under there, sitting on the roof, flying up to a known perch in the tree. It's very easy to find these spots and mark them because they quite often go to the same spots. So I've gained over 30 metres. That's 5.7 metres a second. 5.7 metres a second. A car doing 60k an hour is travelling nearly 3 times as fast. There's just no way in the wide world if that was a road, that bird is not going to catch up. Again, another one from the street light, from the park light going down. So those first three, that was what I call Group C, male and female. These birds here is Group A, which I've only just been able to find since I lost track of these two birds in February, and I've only just found them last week over there. So they've been moving around quite extraordinarily to where they used to be. So again, another's going downhill. So they're roosting up in this tree. They start to stir and they look around, they'll stretch and scratch and fluff their feathers about a bit, and then they'll fly down into this tree down here. And then it's just the same thing, matter of working out the distances, elevations, and work out the length of the flight path over 4.72 metres, 4.72 seconds. So that works out at 9.9 metres a second. Car doing 50 kilometres an hour is travelling at 13.89 metres a second. That bird might have got a little bit faster because it was travelling downhill maybe, I'm not sure. And that was the male bird that flew a similar spot. They were taken over 2 separate nights. So here's one here. This was taken the other night. This was only done the other night. So this is a bit of an example before I get into the next part. So the bird's in the tree over here. This is the footpath. That's the bit of the footpath and a fence, and then this is private property. The road, it's roughly about 10 metres wide, I think, and the camber on the road is quite pronounced, as in the sketch there. Now this has all been done in Excel too, by the way. So there might be a few little jumpy spots there. Don't look at them. I won't point any more out. Look at the red marks there, they're really interesting. So that bird's flown down in a curved arc, and it was pretty close to being about that high off the centre of the road. And then come back up, and it's gone up over the fence and then into the private property. So that was the end of that, on the side of that. So when you go further, now this is one. So this is a different tree, nearly the same road, just a little bit further back. This tree is sitting down inside a paddock. That's the footpath up there, the road, and then the street light. Now, over that distance there, the bird's travelling at 3.9 metres a second. Now, a car travelling over that same distance, even if it's travelling across along the roadway, is doing probably 5 times that amount. So let's say at 50k an hour. There's no way in the wide world if a car was coming along there and the bird was quick enough to see them off in the headlights that it's going to be able to fly down and catch that without getting hit. It's just not going to happen. So here's what I've done. So all these next slides are all based off this part here. So it's a little bit tricky finding lane widths and whatnot, so there's a little bit of leniency here I'll take, a little bit of license I'll take to just bring it out. So this part here is basically from there back. So the light pole, that's the light pole there, and that's the tree up there. So an average motorbike with the rider is about 1700 or 1.7 metres and about 920 wide. The centre between those two bikes is roughly the centre of the road. So they're sitting sort of in the lane, each lane, roughly about allowed 600 mil on either side, which gives you about 1.2 metres between. And that was a variable constant throughout the next slides. So you can see the bird's flying down this way. It's going to just skim out the top of that rider's head. So it's probably got more chance of hitting the rider than actually any part of the bike. And subsequently, if the bird's sitting there, so in this example, that bird actually flew from the tree down to the base of the light, caught whatever was there that grabbed the hold off, I didn't see that part, and then flew back up basically on that same trajectory back up to the same branch where it was sitting. So you've not only got the danger of flying down that way, even though you've got all this safe area here, you've got this danger part when you're coming back again as well. And this strike zone, so 941 millimetres, so that's that part there.
Yeah.
So not a great deal, but it could happen. And it could happen if the bird actually swooped down a little bit on a lower plane. And the same with that, it might not take off in that straight line, it might take off and come back up that way a little bit. Small car, Kia Sorento. Again, just misses the roof. So in all these diagrams, directly between the centre of the vehicles is the centre line of the road. From this part back is the footpath, and then down into the paddock where the tree is. And that represents the basically the light pole where the bird flew down. So your strike zone is increasing now. Even though it's missed this part here, you've still got the danger of flying down or leaving the ground to fly back up. You go to a slightly bigger car, now our strike zone is increasing because the car is higher, so more chances of getting hit going down or coming back up in either direction at this point here through to there. Emerald, big ute. Strike zone's increased a fair bit, 5.2 metres. The big rams, at 5.8. They're a big car, if anyone's ever stood beside one, so one of them coming along the road, the bird's basically got no chance if it's within that zone. and just a general size of pancake there. Got absolutely no hope at all. So even though your strike zone is still a little bit bigger, but you've got all this other, take into this, all this other area of the vehicle itself. So if one of these guys is travelling along at 60 k an hour, there's no way in the world the bird's going to get down in front of that and catch an insect without getting hit, if it's even got a chance of catching the insect in the first place. My thought, or my beliefs are that the bird gets hit when it's either flying down to get that insect over there and gets hit at this point, or even at that point, or on its return flight when it's left the ground and it's flying back up again. They're the 2 points where it's going to get hit, in between those 2 points there. Not so much just because the headlights are bright and they highlighted them off and the bird thought I'll be able to catch that. So, just based at 60 kilometres an hour, so the tall pale ones, that's your 60 zone. The pale blue ones, that's the speed of the bird in kilometres. So they're not even over those given distances that we looked at earlier. So there's not even a chance that the bird's even anywhere close to matching the speed of the car. So again, there's no chance in the wide world that they're going to be able to catch a moth highlighted in front of that car. They're more incidental kills, I believe, than, or accidental kills rather than incidental. Where somebody's saying they're flying down to catch an insect. I think they're flying down to catch something on the ground, or they're flying from the ground back up, and that's when they get hit. Now, Tawny Frogmouth started to fly back. I forgot about this article and I found it again. This happened, I think, it'll be on the next slide, I think it was back in 2020 in Newcastle, where a Tawny Frogmouth caused an accident. It actually flew into the driver's window, causing it to collide with another car. And I think it's really good too that in all the tests, the Tawny Frogmouth doesn't get blamed because it's identified as an owl. So they've shifted the blame. December 2020 at Belmont North, sorry, not Newcastle. So a delivery driver was travelling west on John Street in a van when a low-flying owl flew through his open window, hitting him in the head. The impact caused the van to collide with an unattended parked car, which caused considerable damage. The guy jumped out of his vehicle and was helped by nearby residents. One of them took the photo of the owl. So this time he's got it all worked out, I'll tell you. So that's the parked car. That's the van the guy was driving. And there's the owl sitting on the dash there. Yeah, so they are making a comeback. They're fighting back. No persons were hurt in that.
Did the insurance pay out?
They don't take the owl for mandatory testing.
They couldn't catch it. So the tawny flew off. Oh, sorry, the owl flew off. So after that, that was it. So, yeah, they are starting to fight back. So the whole, that's the end of all that, guys. So the whole premise of what I've been doing there is to try and show that relationship between the speeds of the bird and the cars, and that they just wouldn't be able to do what people say they can do. And when you Google this sort of thing, I think I had out of 20 searches that I looked on, 20 sites that I clicked on from the search, 3 never mentioned anything about birds being hit by car headlights chasing insects, but every other one, 17 did, and they all just repeat the same thing. And I think that's the problem we have with these sort of things, where it's like the old days where you tell a lie long enough and it becomes, people start accepting it as the truth. And I think in these cases, like from site to site, like this site says they get hit by cars chasing moths, this site says they get hit chasing moths, this one says it, this one does some research and says, oh, those 3 said it, so I'm going to say it, and then so on, and I think it just escalates and keeps going on. So I hope with what I've shown here tonight, I hope you can go away, and if somebody ever says anything like that, you can say, well, no, hang on a minute, that might not be quite true. It may be true, I don't know. There's no actual evidence of this happening, apart from one mention I've seen just not long back on social media where the driver had hit a tawny frogmouth and they stated that they actually seen the moth that the tawny frogmouth was flying down to catch seconds before the tawny got hit. So, pretty good odds. But there's no actual evidence of that ever happening, it's just the same. So, yeah. So the chart there shows that the dark blue is the times in metres per second. Sorry, that one there. That's the time of the flight path. So even for a bird to fly over a flight path at 5 metres per second, it's still, the cars are still nowhere near the bird speed, so they're not matched. It's just not going to happen. All right.